Greetings, one and all. My name is Jason Davis, and this is Empower Volusia Common Sense. We're coming to you from an undisclosed location hidden somewhere in an iron bunker in the upper western highlands of Volusia County, Florida, and we are guarded by two rabid Pomeranians and one crazy cat, and of course we're in an iron bunker, hermetically sealed. And I'm going to do away with a lot of the frivolous, fun things that we do. We do it for education as well as entertainment, and we're kind of in a little bit of a, shall we say, a quandary here. So I've taken some inspiration from some documents that are not very well read, like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and one of the greatest documents ever written by any president in office, the Gettysburg Address. So without further ado, I've written this really nice script. So I'm going to read this script to you. And I hope you get some good information out of this. So, 245 years ago, our fathers brought forth to this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil unrest, testing whether this nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that unrest. Not of physical violence, no, but of a great rift caused by the division of the citizens of this great nation, not by race as we are being informed, no, but by political divisions. We are being divided by those who wish to control every aspect of our lives, by those who have told us that we are a racist nation, by those who wish to destroy the sovereignty of the greatest nation to ever have been created on earth. As we go forth from this time in our nation's history and reflect on the hatred of those who destroyed cities, burned businesses, and ended the lives of almost 30 proud citizens of our nation, we must begin the process of rebuilding this nation. Alexander Hamilton once called political parties the most fatal disease of popular governments, and unfortunately, our government is infected to a terminal level with political parties. The symptoms are violation of your rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as quoted in the Declaration of Independence. Another great and very prevalent quote is from Emmerich Edward Dahlberg Acton, also known as Lord Acton, in 1887. He wrote, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men." Well, here we are in the midst of those two statements. We now have one party in power over three branches of our government. Their actions are destroying our Constitution and our nation and way of life. The legislature or Congress can now pass all the laws and rules they wish. The House of Representatives proposes laws to remove your constitutional rights of speech, the right to protest, freedom of religion, the right to bear arms, speedy trial, etc., etc. And the Senate passes them without rebuttal, or even a filibuster due to the one-sided majority in both houses. The law goes to the White House and the President signs it into law without question, doing as he is told to do by his party leaders. Then, as it is challenged at the Supreme Court whether said law is constitutional or not, they refuse to see evidence. They set a hearing date far too far into the future, or they just say, no, it's constitutional. This is the absolute power and the absolute corruption of our government. The citizens of all parties are seeing this, yes, and we're all very unhappy with it, and I do not know what is going to happen next. The 2020 election was set up, or has set up our government as a totalitarian form of rule. Now, totalitarianism is a form of government that permits no individual freedom and that seeks to subordinate all aspects of an individual's life to the authority of the state. We're beginning to see this with the absolute power of the ruling party, the Democrats. During World War II, many men and women of all races fought and died to stop the totalitarian rule of the Axis powers as they attempted to control Europe and eventually the world. We as a nation should never forget the horrors of that war, the attempted destruction of the Jewish people, and we should learn from that history. For if we do not, we will be destined to repeat it here on our soil. I've taken great inspiration from one of the greatest documents ever written by a sitting president, the Gettysburg Address. It was written on a train by President Abraham Lincoln as he traveled to the city of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, to dedicate the battleground as a memorial cemetery. With a heavy heart, President Lincoln rode on horseback through the battlefield as they were still collecting and separating the bodies of the brave and valiant soldiers who fought for their beliefs. This could be the end game for our nation, for it would seem that the elite members of the ruling party are attempting to implement one of the statements in the book, The Art of War. Let you and him fight. The elected elite in our government are hoping, and it would seem to me that they are pushing for conflict in our nation. It started with the coronavirus that we now know was not nearly as bad as it was stated, hiding very important evidence and issuing out statements that were false about the Democratic candidate and his connection to the Chinese Communist Party, and any information about his son Hunter's laptop and all the nastiness that was found on it. Then the contested election was tainted with fraud and illegal activities, thus disregarding the will of the people. Ever pushing their agenda, they must have something over the head of every Supreme Court justice, just due to the issue that they do not want to even see the facts of the voter fraud cases presented by Donald J. Trump and or his attorneys. The unconstitutional impeachment attempt of the House and the Senate against a former president of the United States. And now they are crafting legislation to remove your First and Second Amendment constitutional rights. The Democrats are doing all that they can do to create the optics of a civil uprising from the citizens of this nation, so they may take control of the military by way of martial law, and the mainstream media is cheering them on. Just remember that in politics, perception is reality, and the media is complacent in these perceptions. The media will cheer them on and on only until it begins to affect them and their freedoms. Only then will they begin to fight back. But it will be too late. When the government no longer needs them to spread the government-issued propaganda, the mainstream media will no longer exist. I do believe that the latest increase in public broadcast system spending, the PBS, is just one more step in the ending of the First Amendment. They are creating a government-controlled media. Already, the House of Representatives are contacting cable companies and requesting at this time, and I'm sure it will turn into a demand later, that they censor Fox, One American News, Newsmax, and several other independent news sources like yours truly, attempting to finish the destruction on the First Amendment. The truth of the matter is this: the removal of the First Amendment, making it illegal for you to speak your mind, and the censorship of the media makes the political coup so much easier. As I've always said, I will just give you the facts. The rest is up to you. Adolf Hitler began his reign of terror across Europe in this manner. He took away the free speech of the people of Germany. His Nazi party took control of the government. Then they controlled the media and the message. They removed the history and burned books out of the libraries. They lied about all the atrocities that they were committing against the Jewish state. And they stopped the free movement around the country of citizens. Remember, let me see your papers. Today it will be, let me see your vaccination. They've only allowed government press. That's what they did. They only allowed government press propaganda to be out. And we see how that worked out. Hence, World War II. As I have said, many men and women have died. So here we are now at a point of totalitarian takeover by a single political party that is attempting to take away our constitutional rights and they've been using our Constitution basically as a doormat. A weak president that is trying to rewrite laws by executive orders, and this political party whose sole function right now, their sole function is to destroy Donald Trump. Because even though they've tried to with 2 impeachments and several investigations, the only thing that they've really accomplished is making him a stronger political adversary for the future. So, as I close this very short podcast, I will incorporate some of the words of Abraham Lincoln and use them in my own statement. For we, my friend, are the last outpost of freedom. That through the past 245 years, many brave souls have perished for the worthy causes of our allies and for the sovereign freedom of our nation. That we here in the year of our Lord 2021 highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. No. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from this earth.